Friday, the 24th of June, 2011. And I guess I was a little ahead of myself, trade numbers today. I think I was using the 25th, but 800-375-4188 for all your gold and silver coin needs. Give us a call. We got some great prices, great product, great service, great shipping, and we're just great here. We're great, just like Tony Tiger used to say. 800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. Visit our website, our original website, discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. And, of course, we'll be making an announcement come August about the new website. We'll be working on that. And you could go to our website now, discountgoldandsilvertrading.net, sign up for a newsletter and information, and we'll be sending and giving you notices when the new website's out. We're going to have specials and all kinds of things going on at that point in time. So make sure you go to the website and sign up. If you have any questions for today's program, you can direct those to Discount Gold and Silver at yahoo.com. That is Discount Gold and Silver at yahoo.com. Go there and send us an email, and send me an email regarding your gold and silver coins also. And another interesting day in the market. I'm looking at the August contract 2011. You're looking at gold down 1960 at 1,590 cents. Silver's down 36 at 34.64. Platinum was down 16 at 16.77. So another nasty day here in the precious metals. Great buying opportunity, and lots of folks are taking advantage of these prices. We have palladium down 13 at 736. 800-375-4188. Give us the call, and it's a pleasure to have Robert Chapman joining us this afternoon. He's taking time out from his golf tournament to join us, and we certainly do appreciate him doing that, taking the time on his time off. And, of course, if you'd like a complimentary issue to the International Forecaster, give us the call. And, again, Robert Chapman from the International Forecaster. Good afternoon, Bob.
Good afternoon, Melody.
And thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Well, you're welcome.
We've had many people who missed you.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, but I got to get a break once in a while. I played golf on Wednesday and Thursday, and I qualified in the Super Seniors. Those are over 75. So I'll be in the finals, the final 8, on Sunday morning. And Judy didn't make it this time, and my 2 friends, one's on the course now, trying to qualify, which I think he will. And his wife qualified number 1, so he's going to have to do something startling to catch up with her. Anyway, I had a couple of, one bad round, one good round, but it worked. The gold and silver prices are under pressure. The market's been under pressure. A few blips upward here and there, but certainly nothing to write home about. What did that close today, Melody?
The stock market?
The Dow.
Pardon?
The Dow or?
The Dow is 11,934, down 115.
Yeah, well, that's not so high.
And the NASDAQ was down 33 at 2652.
All right, hold on a second. Get your pencil and paper out. If you multiply 33 times 6, you come out with 198. Mm-hmm. And that's really in terms of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. That's how much NASDAQ was down. So NASDAQ was down almost twice as much, and they've been the leader in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. So that tells you, all things being equal, that the market should be off on Monday. What did the S&P end up?
The S&P was down 15 at 1268.
Okay. The 15 you multiply it by 9, that would be 135. And that's a little bit worse by 20 points than the Dow was, which would lead you to believe that there will be downward pressure on Monday coming up. So it's a good way to gauge it. Again, you multiply the up or down on NASDAQ by 6 and the S&P plus or minus by 9, and then you get a better view of the market. You know, I'm surprised. I am the only person I know of, as a newsletter writer or as a broker, who has ever recommended that. I've never heard it anyplace else.
Where do you get the 6 and 9?
That's the average. That the Dow is higher than the S&P at 9 times, or NASDAQ at 6 times. It's a formula based upon the previous performance of those two indices.
Gotcha.
And it's really accurate, and it really gets you closer to the market. Most people aren't interested in that, but anyway, there are people who are. I'm surprised none of the balls have hit up here. I'm right on the golf course, and nobody's put a ball in the pool yet.
Well, so, if you go silent, I'll know what happened.
Well, I think we got an overhang. There's a patio.
Oh, good. That's good.
In this rented house we have, and there's a pool. But the pool's not very big. Anyway, the charade goes on in Europe. Either a group of attorneys are or have filed a lawsuit against Goldman Sachs in Athens, Greece, and it is because they were in league with politicians in previous years, particularly the last 10 years, and they were breaking the law by selling credit default swaps to cover up the shortcomings of the Greek financial situation all over those years. In fact, they were responsible for making Greece be qualified to be in the euro. And, of course, it was all smoke and mirrors. They didn't qualify, never have. Shouldn't have been there. And neither should Italy and Ireland and Portugal. Spain qualified, and none of the others ever did. All of the shenanigans that have been pulled by banking and other internationalist interests in Europe are coming back to slam them in the middle of the forehead. And the vote, I think, is Tuesday coming up. And the House will vote on acceptance or refusal of the packages that is offered by the European Union, Eurozone members, banks who refuse to take any losses, and the IMF. And I think they have to cut another $118 billion off their budget. That's too much too fast. You know, what these people don't realize is that when you have austerity and people are laid off, they can't pay taxes. It don't work. So if they don't pay taxes, pray tell, where is the money going to come from to pay off the interest and the loans of the bonds? Well, it can't. And that's how the IMF has held third world countries in bondage since World War II. I mean, there was just no way to get out. Especially sometimes when you have a string of dictators and then perhaps to be replaced by democratic-type governments. And so that's not going to pass. They did get a vote of confidence, but that doesn't mean anything from what I've been told. And were they to vote it in, there'd probably be a revolution. That's what I would think. There's a group that marched on Athens, and they're called the Leonidas 300, or the 300 Spartans. And for those of you who know something about Greek history, you know that the Persians were held off for some time, I guess 2 to 3 days, by these 300 Spartan warriors. And it gave the country time enough to marshal their people, fighters, if you may. And they went off and dispatched the Greeks and, the Persians. And they saved the country. Otherwise, everybody in Greece would have been speaking Farsi, or whatever they were speaking in those days. The group is very militant. They marched for 2 days to get into Athens, or walked, or whatever you want to call it. And that just sets the mental setting for the days to come. And quite frankly, I think people who are in the House, I think if the ones that vote for it, their lives are really in danger. People will kill them. I mean, these people are serious. And I wouldn't want to be a member of Judge Papandreou's party. People are just irate. There is nobody that I've heard of that's for, giving away or selling off at 30 cents on the dollar the country's assets. And, the perennial question by Mr. Samaras, I think it's called the United Democratic Party. I read it this morning, and I can't remember it. But you'll have to forgive me. When you get old, you forget things. So anyway, the vote's coming up. I think it'll be rejected. And the bankers will be told, you've got to go back and make a deal where there's no collateralization, there's no sales, and we'll do the best we can in your austerity measures. And if you don't like that, we'll go bankrupt. And that's what I think they should do. But I think they're playing it out. And so Greece is still on the hook until next week. And I expect it to deteriorate further. I understand from sources in Italy right now that they're experiencing demonstrations, and that could turn very nasty. The Italians are much more aggressive than the Greeks are. And so that's not good news. 43.5% of people between 18 and 35 years old are unemployed I'm trying to think of which country that is. That's Spain. And so that's not very good. So, the pot keeps boiling in many countries. It's going to continue to do that. Not just one episode. After the 1st of July, we're going to find out which municipalities are solvent and which are not. And we're going to get a look at their pension plans, which I think are dreadful. If I had to guess, I'd say they've got about 45% coverage overall. That's terrible. I mean, the very worst should be 55 to 60. And the Fortune 500 companies get up to about 82% coverage, but that's fallen back too. I'm guessing, but I would say it's back to around 72% coverage on future benefits. And then you get the states. And the states are trying to make a deal with the banks who fleece the public. And the banks want to pay $5 billion, and the attorney generals want them to pay $25 to $30 billion. And the states are hoping they can come to some quick conclusion with the banks, who were broke, incidentally, as to what the number is going to be. And, of course, all the money will go into the state coffers to keep them alive, so to speak, financially. Nobody will go to jail as usual. Now, the only exception to that is, and we're not publishing tomorrow, we're publishing on Wednesday, but I have a piece in there about the legal action and investigation of Goldman Sachs for possible criminal indictment. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that over the next couple of weeks. I mean, these people are real criminals. You have no idea. And the Fed has been an integral part of keeping the financial system from collapsing. And I think what happened with those mortgages called MBSs and CDOs, I think that, well, I know that 60% was sold to European banks and other financial types as well as municipalities, but not many. And there's never been a lawsuit or a criminal action brought against the sellers of the bonds, which were Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Citigroup, and the whole normal cast of characters who live on criminality. Well, anyway, with that said, I think a deal was made, and I think the Fed said, look, whatever losses you take, we get you covered. You'll either get loans or we'll give you the money that you've lost. That's why I think that there was no pursuance of people going after the banks to get their money back. People being big banks, for the most part. Every one of those banks have legal departments. They know that those mortgages were not AAA. They had to be asked to buy them. That's my feeling. And that's a reflection today on what we see going on. Why have the American banks bought $130 billion, sold $130 billion worth of credit default swaps to European banks to cover at least 40% of their losses in Greek bonds? There's no reason for them to do that unless it was payback. And that's what I think it was. I mean, this is the kind of thing that, you say to yourself, it can't happen. And it does. I mean, people are in jail for doing far, far less. And we all know that. They're keeping two sets of books, the banks and others. That's certainly not fair. And if you did that, you go to jail. And on and on and on. They just do anything they want. And so that's a big problem. Our municipalities are a big problem. The states are a big problem. Individuals. I did an article for next Wednesday. I finished it up today. And I talk about the problems in personal debt. It's the highest since 1952. I mean, that's crazy. How can an economy recover when the debt outstanding is so high? And, of course, that interest rate drag is there on the economy. And then you've got 22.6% unemployment. So who's going to do the buying? Same old people. And the way I look at it, I see, and I predicted this too, we were at 22.2% before. It fell back to around 20, 21%, whatever it was, when the U6 went back to 15 and 7/8, if I'm not mistaken. And now it's right back up again. So who's going to buy all those things for sale or services, whatever? I don't know. Not many people. I don't think they're going to do that. So there can be no recovery. And what do? They throw the money at Wall Street and banking, and then the government, and that's it. Sure, we had 2 stimulus programs, but you're not going to get another one. How can the legislature even think about stimulus 3, if you want to call it that? How can they really think about that when they're fighting over the austerity in the budget? And one of the Republicans walked out of the meetings yesterday and said, I've had it with these people. They just don't want to cut anything. So that's where everything is headed. And it's not good.
No, it isn't good, Bob. And why do you think they released the strategic oil yesterday? I mean, what was the point?
Well, I think it was ex post facto. It's a political move, so the president can say, well, I drove the prices down. What did oil do today?
It was just up a little bit. I believe it was 91.
That means everybody on the inside knew.
Yep.
Had to be. If oil had fallen down a point or two, $1 or $2, you would have said, gee, now that's because of the announcement. When it doesn't go down, well, everybody that wanted to sell or short did that already. I mean, it just goes to show you it is so difficult to do anything in markets when you have the government in there all the time. Terrible.
Would you believe by doing that it also put a major hit on all the commodities?
I think it did to an extent. It's sympathy, if you may.
Yeah.
Platinum, palladium are getting bounced all over the place. Yeah. I mean, $30 one day and $20 the next. That's a lot of correction.
And we hear the music, and we should be back in just a few minutes. Thank you, folks. And Bob, would you like to tell us about the International Forecaster, please?
Well, the forecast is about business, finance, economics, social and political issues all over the world. We publish on Wednesday and Saturday by email. Usually runs around 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. And everything that you need to know each week is in that publication. You get a free introductory copy by going to theinternationalforecaster.com. The International, FORECASTER.com. You can also go to www.intforecaster.com. intforecaster.com. If you have a question, and we answer everyone, or if you'd like a copy, or if you'd like a copy of our recent releases in gold and silver shares, just email us at Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com. Bob at intforecaster.com. Well, for those of you who would like to call toll-free, that number is
1-800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188. Give us a call, and we'll get you out a complimentary issue, get the information over to Bob. And even if you'd like to subscribe, you can give us a call, and we can get the information over to Bob at 800-375-4188. And coin prices really are not doing so bad. I mean, as let's see, on 6/22 on Wednesday, we had gold at 15.55, so we're down $50. Most of the coin prices, down $55. Most of the coin prices are down $30 since then. So they're certainly not tracking the amount of spot. You have Mint State 63 $20 Liberties. They're only down $25. And everything else is pretty much $30 for the $20 gold pieces. So they're being very strong in there. Of course, they didn't have a very good year, but my point is when I tell people about why they should be purchasing them is because all the excess premium is out of their prices, so there's very little downside. There's probably more downside on bullion coins than there are in the $20 gold pieces right now, considering the leverage that they carry when, of course, the pendulum swings back and they begin to take their position as things get a little bit more panicky with the stock market falling. So give us a call at 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188. Silver Eagles are available, 90% bags. All the silver products are available. We have Morgan silver dollars circulated. We also have some extra fine, great prices. All your gold products are available. And I really do believe Mint State 63 $20 Liberties are a great buy. I mean, you're looking at a $110 spread between a Mint State 62, and that coin can never go below a Mint State 62 price. So, I mean, you talk about buying low, selling high, but I know a lot of people don't like to do that. They'd rather buy when things are peaking out or heading up, and they just shy away from anything that has a little bit of a correction in their premium. So, but in reality, it's a great buy. So give us a call at 800-375-4188. Here's a question, Bob, from Adonis. He says, J.P. Morgan is one of the devils. So nice to see their stock broke below $40 today. It was as high as $48 in February. He can't wait for silver to come back up and surpass J.P. Morgan. Do you see that happening this fall?
Absolutely. Excellent opportunity. And we'll test 50 again, and we may go higher. And the shorts have piled on more shorts. They either think they walk on water or they have some insight into what's going to happen in the future. And that's not so. And so I think they're making a big mistake. And I think some of the pressure that you've seen the last couple of days could be coming from government and could be coming from gold and silver option writers, and that would be the same banks we've been talking about and Adonis mentioned. And those banks are going to get in serious trouble. I don't see any way around it, and I think they're just mad to continue to short naked into the market. But anyway, that's okay. Silver, even though it was off 36 cents or so today, is holding on very, very well. And if we stay in this level for, let's say, another week between 32 and 36, it will be the fifth time, number 5, that it has tested that zone. And it's formed a very, very strong bottom if that is the case. And so I'm very bullish on silver. Gold, $50 is nothing. And it's going to fly. There's no place else to go. And what's going to happen next Tuesday when they don't get a vote that'll approve the IMF and European Central Bank and the EU and their ideas of a bailout package? They're going to have to default. If they do, the others are going to follow, and it's not going to be nice. It's going to be a terrible mess. But, it's not the fault of the great people. It's the fault of the great politicians as well as the bankers.
Here's a question, but you've already answered. What is the date in June that they have to cover their options?
That is Tuesday as well.
Tuesday.
And last month they didn't do anything, or couldn't do anything, and they lost a lot of money. This month they're doing much better. The writers of options in gold and silver. But you never know. Monday and Tuesday might turn around and go right back up again. There's no rhyme or reason for these markets. You can't even use technicals. It's just impossible. It's all fundamental.
On Wednesday, we had Adonis had sent us a question. He says Ben Bernanke looked a little like a scared little mouse trying to say, please don't panic. Everything is fine, but less fine than is comfortable. What is your take on the conference on Wednesday?
I don't think much is going to happen. They're certainly not going to raise interest rates. No, that's out of the question. And if the Fed does not continue QE3, then the whole thing falls apart, and they know that. Even if they don't announce that they're going to continue with a QE3 type program, they're going to do it anyway. They have to. And that means that we're going to have more inflation, and going out 2.5 years from now, maybe longer. All depends on the implementation process. And they're going to have to supply all of the money because the others in the legislature, the U.S. House, they're not going to do that. They're not going to pass anything like that. They can't.
Here's a question from Tim. He says, we know that history always repeats itself. His question is, what happened to the value of gold and silver in the 30s and 40s in Germany during their economic crisis?
Well, silver coins were used and were in circulation, but gold coins did very well, and people were more concerned about not eating, so there was a lot of bartering going on. And I think in any major country, something like that could happen. The reason I stress major country, because it's easy for smaller countries to get in trouble. And nobody pays a lot of attention if they go under. But Argentina, which is a middle to larger sized country for output, they suffered terribly. The public did, because their property wasn't worth anything anymore. Everybody was broke. I mean, even the banks over across the River Plate, they caught it as well. And nobody was spared. And I think that's going to happen again. You see my next issue on Wednesday, I talk about that. And a lot of people must write in about my articles because so many places are picking them up. And I'm happy about that, so keep it up, because we want people to know what's going on.
Here's the question, and he's got a valid point here. He says, recently we've seen an event of no small proportion. As the price of silver soared in short order to near record highs, then it pulled back without any rhyme or reason. He said, naturally, the paranoid schizo suspects that a redistribution of wealth was at play. However, you could see in the weeks leading up to the event that there was a lot of calls in the marketplace to buy silver and to buy it quickly. And he doesn't understand, now that we're in the aftermath, silver is still down, the price is, still down, the bank shorts have increased, not decreased, and he wants to know, what is he missing? He's missing the boat if he doesn't get in here and buy silver.
Well, I think you're right. I'm a steady buyer, as you know, and I continue to be on both metals.
Well, you know what happens so often, Bob, is, and you know what, I said it time and time again on this program and other places, you buy the fundamentals, and you stay there, and you go there. And that's what you talk about. You buy the fundamentals. And you do have people out there that do sensationalize any situation. I mean, it could be if it rained today, or a storm, or a hurricane, or a tornado, whatever. They sensationalize something in order to get people to buy. So, you know, you have to stick to the fundamentals, buy what's suitable for you, and when you have, if you did buy at 50, if you did buy at 40, you did buy at 45, it's a great time to cost average at these levels, because I do believe we'll see 50 again. Robert?
Yes, and I'm glad you see that. I was just thinking, you know, you have so many conflicting reports out there, and most of these people have never been formally trained in the markets. They've never been brokers or administrators or analysts or economists. There's a few exceptions like Paul Craig Roberts and Max Kaiser and myself, but there's very few others. And, you know, from a professional viewpoint, they can guess at things and say that might happen, but they've got no history. They have no history in participation. All they've learned is probably from reading, which there's nothing wrong with. But until you've been under fire, you don't know what it's like. And, you know, can you last out and be a broker for 10 or 20 or 30 years and make the right decisions for people more than you make the wrong ones? And that's a fine line, incidentally. And so people are giving advice. All they do is sensationalize. I find it dreadful, awful. Because half the time they don't even know what they're talking about. They think they do, but they don't. And, you know, the result shows up, and more often than not, they don't do very well in recommending things for people. Anyway, it's frustrating because I've got to sit here on the computer and answer 100 emails as to why gold's not going higher. It's not going higher because it's being manipulated. Simple.
I can't tell you, Bob, how many times people have said to me, I wish I had listened to you. And, again, I take simple, balanced positions and things. And over a long period of time, you know, you take a lot of risk out of your portfolios and you'll do very well. And, I mean, we're in a situation where, you know, until things are addressed, I mean, this is going to play out no matter what type of pullbacks we have, you know, from now until the end of things, you know, until we actually see the what is going to happen here and, you know, places in Greece and, you know, the domino effect. So.
Well, Melody, you know, again and again and again, with a manipulated market,
yeah,
you've got to buy and hold.
That's right.
You don't have any choice. And it's probably all for the best, because you don't have some broker churning you in and out of that coin for those coins over there, or that stock for another one, and so on and so forth.
Well, along those lines, too, you're right, and I don't advocate any type of trading of coins. However, I mean, we do trades if they make sense, but I have to know everything about a person's portfolio, whether I can, you know, determine whether it really makes sense or not, and talk to them, you know, in a reasonable manner instead of using, you know, hype and sensationalism as far as why people should trade. I had a lady today. She had a lot of fractional pieces. The majority of her portfolio was fractional pieces. And, you know, she had some spar in gold. I can't even remember what it was, in addition to her Swiss francs, British sovereigns. But you know what? You have 150 of those. It'd be a great time to trade them upgrade, and get some $20 gold pieces. And but before I actually told her that, I needed to know what she had, how much she had, in her fractional pieces and her other coins in order for me to decide whether that would have been a good trade or not. That was a good trade. She did very well. She bought a lot of those pieces when they were $66 and, $90. So she had a great profit. She was able to trade, so she didn't have any tax consequences. And now she goes into a private coin that has, again, at the bottom, has great leverage, future leverage, privacy. And there are times when you can trade coins. But, she would have had called anybody else, they would have traded her so quick without even asking any of those questions because they wouldn't have cared. So you can trade.
That's right. No, and they would have said, oh, that was her decision, not mine.
Right. So you can trade and you can make good trades, but it's not for everybody. It's not for every coin that you have. I have people calling me, well, should I trade my silver for gold? What do you have? And I listen. I'll probably tell more people not to trade than I do tell them to trade. So you just don't trade to trade, period.
Yeah, well, that's what some of these brokers conjure up so they can make commissions.
Absolutely. What do you see happening in the gold market this week, Bob, or next week?
I think there'll be pressure on Monday. If there's not, that means this thing's going right back up again. I should say Monday and Tuesday because of the expiration. But, they're taking gold down $50 here, so it might surprise us and go up on Monday and Tuesday, and then just keep on going right back up from whence it came. I think there's a good chance of that.
Didn't we see the same type of trading like last month in expirations where it was like 3 or 4 days prior to the expiration they went down, but then...
No, we didn't.
We didn't? Was it the month
It was
before?
just the opposite. They went up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They went up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's been that way for 6, 7, 8 months. Yeah. And this is an exception. So, you might wake up on Monday and find out on Monday and Tuesday that gold went back up $30, $40, $50. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's why I throw my hands in the air and say, look, I'm not a genius. I can't do that. So let's just buy them and hold them.
Here's the question is, he read that numismatic coins has the benefit of privacy and he wanted to understand better. If you sell the 65 cents for more than double the current spot price, will there be any reporting? Is it true that in this case, when the proceeds from the sale of a numismatic exceed 50% of the current spot, it's not 50% of the current spot, it's 50% of the melt value of the coin. And again, we can't tell you to buy these coins so you don't have to pay your taxes. We have to tell you it's your responsibility, but by law, we do not have to generate a 1099 when you sell back your $20 gold pieces. And the true IRS reading of that is the 50% of the melt value. And so that answers that question. And, I tell we're not tax people. We don't work for the IRS, so it is also your responsibility to make sure you do what you need to do. That's about all the questions we have today, Bob.
Well, here, all this time, I've thought for the last 7 years or so that you were part of the IRS.
Did you say, oh, no. No, you better make sure that the listeners don't believe you there. We don't need any rumors there, Robert.
Well, it doesn't make any difference because no matter how this turns out, you're not going to have to worry about taxes, I don't think. Things are going to change dramatically. And, even if Ron Paul wasn't nominated and elected to be president, the word that he's giving out is so strong. And he's captivating more and more Americans. And I think he's doing a terrific job. The only thing that I kind of miss from him, and it's seldom you see this happen, when he gets mad. So we're not going to do that anymore. Well, let's do it, Ron. I mean, let's have some spark in there. He knows all the answers. he's got to get a little bit more theatrical, I think. And, of course, what they're doing is lying about everything in the polls. And he's got a 63.5% rating right now. And that's pretty strong. That means if the election was held tomorrow, then he would be a shoo-in for victory.
Well, certainly a lot of people are jumping on board as far as, and he's about really the only one. Do you see any other possible candidates?
No, and certainly no one who has the terrific background that he has. Just very, very strong. And we need strong people. And he's the only strong one. And, of course, they'll try to keep it away from him. And they may be successful. But the word and the truth is where it's at for us. And that's the bottom line. We can't control government. We can't even control the people. And but there could come a time, and it could be not far away, where the staggering loss of homes through foreclosure and the tremendous debt ratio that individuals have, the banks could be absolutely staggered. And I think that it's going to happen somewhere along the way. And they're preparing for it. That's why the BAIS wanted them to increase the amount of deposits they hold on hand instead of gambling in the market. And,
we got about 30 seconds left. 800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188 for all your gold and silver coin needs here at Discount Gold and Silver. And please, folks, don't forget your complimentary issue to the International Forecaster. Give us a call at 800-375-4188. Read it, share it, and subscribe to it. They're great gifts to people for graduation, Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries.